This is the boot capital of the world. And what a better way to show that off than finding ourselves with the largest boots ever made.
Like, it's so cool, dude. There's so much to explore here.
Welcome to Rocketbuster Boots. We're going to show off some of the wildest, most creative, and most downright legendary cowboy boots on the planet. This isn't just a boot shop. This is where old school craftsmanship, rock and roll attitude, and Western heritage all collide under one roof. And the story behind it is just as wild as the boots themselves.
I'm Caesar. This is Angel, and this is Jay.
Have you been here before?
No, we have never been here.
Oh, wow.
We'll walk you through every step, from the design to the assembly, the stitching, the staining, and the lasting.
So that's all done by hand.
Wow.
Like the belts with your name on it, but much harder.
And by the end of this, you actually might be tempted to order your own pair, because these boots are really cool.
So these will last. We have a pair of boots here from 1920. It's over 100 years old, and it's still soft.
Rocketbuster's story isn't just about the boots. It's about creativity and the willing to go somewhere where no one else has gone. It's more than a boot shop. This is culture and history at its finest. Walking into Rocketbuster isn't like anything you've ever seen before. It's more of like you're stepping into a living museum, an artist studio, and a backstage rock concert all into one. The first thing I noticed was the smell of leather and wood. It's that smell that instantly tells you that everything is real. No fake materials, no shortcuts. No mass production, no cookie cutter boots. Every pair would be hand-drawn, hand-carved, and hand-stained, designed to fit the customer's vision, personality, and story.
My samples is because I get an idea, and when I get an idea, I gotta do it.
This is a creative playground for anyone bold enough to want something no one else has had. The walls are covered from floor to ceiling with vintage decor, paintings, neon signs, and all kinds of boots.
Yeah.
Yo, you got the little like ray guns?
Yeah, those are my favorite, the red ones.
And just when you think you've seen it all, you spot the Wall of Fame. It's covered in photos with custom orders from legends and icons. We're talking Kendrick Lamar, Willie Nelson, Whoopi Goldberg, Taylor Swift, Dwight Yoakam, Yo-Yo Ma, Sylvester Stallone, the Cleveland Cavs, and that's just to name a few. But Rocketbuster isn't just about who wears the boots, it's about how they're made. And none of this magic happens without the team, the Rocketbuster family. And these people bring every pair of boots to life. I mean, of course there's Navina. If there's one person who can take a wild boot idea and turn it into something you'd actually wear, it's her. It starts with a pencil, a blank piece of leather, and her imagination. If you want to say something is impossible,
I always feel like people are daring me. It's like, bet you can't do that. And I am that kid on the playground who's like, yeah, I can. I totally can.
then there's Rick. He's the master at carving out all these incredible details. Uni, he's the assembly pro, making sure each boot fits like a glove. Carolina and Faith handle the staining, turning plain leather into bold works of art. Carolina once created a tie-dye effect on leather just because a customer asked for it. Honestly, if you can dream it, they can make it. Raul, he's been here since the very beginning, and he's the master stitcher. Manny, he's a leather cutter, the very first hands to touch every boot that comes through this shop. Pete and Jesus, they're in the lasting process. This step is all about pulling the leather over the wooden mold called a last, and making sure the boot holds its shape perfectly. First they tack the back of the boot onto the last to make sure the height and the fit are just right. Then they pull the leather tight across the toe, making sure every seam lines up perfectly. Crafting boots like this is a pretty delicate process, and so you need to make sure that everybody has their specialty. And together, this crew blends art, history, and skill into every pair at Rocketbusters. And once you see their work in action, you understand why people travel from all over the world just to get their boots made here. Every part of the shop tells a story, from the 1910 wooden floors to the neon signs and vintage pinball machines scattered between the workstations. There's even a giant alien left over from a Halloween party. And rumor has it, if you check his feet, you'll find a little surprise down there too. Tucked inside Rocketbuster, right near Navina's office, is something a lot of people miss.
If you look at this onion soup, I think our sizes have increased dramatically.
Just kidding, that's not what I actually meant. Hanging on the wall is a painting by Eugene Thurston.
And then this painting we got out of a building that was being blown up to make room for a parking lot. And then when the Museum of Art opened, the commercial said famous Southwest artists like Tom Lee and Eugene Thurston. And I was like, honey, I think that's the name on the painting at work.
Thurston was known for capturing the beauty of West Texas landscapes, but this piece, it's extra special. And of course, in the middle of all this, you cannot miss the Guinness World Record largest boots in the world. 4 feet, 6 3/4 inches long, 3 feet, and 11 inches wide. They were awarded the Guinness World Record back in 1999.
We did this trade show and they gave us the shittiest room. And I said, well, if we're way down the hall at the end of I'm like, we got to do something big. And Marty always wanted to be in the Guinness book, so I came home with the pattern and I'm like, okay, we're going to do it.
That's cool.
And it took over 3 months to make. They carved the foot mold out of styrofoam used for building adobe houses, then fiberglassed over the top. The mold is still inside those boots, and it costs a fortune. Nobody's beaten the record since because it just takes so much work. You'd have to carve out that entire mold even bigger, and who has the time for that? And that's the kind of place Rocketbuster is. They're willing to go where no one else is willing to go. This is a place where imagination always wins, where cowboy culture, rock and roll attitude, and fine art all smashed together to create something completely new. It's no wonder that they only make about 400 pairs a year. It's not fast, it's not cheap, but it's something you can't get anywhere else on this earth. After spending some time inside Rocketbuster, I can honestly say this place is so much more than a boot shop. It's part history lesson, part art studio, and 100% unapologetically creative.
So we like to say we're making the heirlooms of the future.
And that's the Rocketbuster magic. Whether you're a cowboy, a CEO, a fashion designer, or just someone who wants boots that no one else in the world owns, Rocketbuster treats every customer like a story waiting to be told.
El Paso should make this a historical part of El Paso.
So if you ever find yourself in El Paso, come see this place for yourself. Even if you're not buying boots, the tour alone is worth the trip. And who knows, after seeing all this, you might end up rethinking your entire wardrobe.
Seeing how she makes them
Makes you want to get some.
makes me want to get
Hell
some.
yeah.